Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I'm your teacher Naveed Anjum Naveed with my grammar lessons, and today I've brought infinitive, gerund, and participle for you. They are collectively known as verbal structures. So let's begin with infinitive. An infinitive is to plus first form of the verb. We can also call it to plus present form of the verb. Infinitives are defined by structure and not by their function because they've got multiple functions or roles, grammatical roles in sentences. So wherever there is to plus first form of the verb, whatever grammatical role it plays in a sentence, we'll call it an infinitive, like to come, to go, to eat, to drink, to smile, to laugh, to run, to walk, etc. Infinitives don't function as verbs in sentences. We've already learned this concept when we were doing our auxiliaries. I remember that. So you can also go through that lesson once again to relearn or to revise that concept. Infinitives, I mean to plus first form of the verb, they don't function as verbs in sentences, yet because they are made up of verbs, so they retain some of the qualities of a verb. And one very basic characteristic of a verb is that it has got its different forms or conjugations. Infinitives don't have all those forms of verbs, yet they can be used in at least 4 different variants or forms. Let's take a look at them. An infinitive can be either simple or perfect. I have used the same infinitive in all those different forms or variants: to kill and to have killed. That's the perfect version, the perfect form of this simple infinitive, to kill. And when your infinitive consists of to plus transitive verb, it can have its passive forms also, because kill is a transitive verb. It requires an object to make complete sense. So an infinitive made out of this verb can have passive forms also. So you also have to be killed or to have been killed. But you need not to be worried about these different forms or variants of infinitives, because the kind of question you're going to come across in your paper is different. You are usually given 4 sentences, and the statement of the question is, which one of the following sentences contains an infinitive? Apparently, it seems to be one free mark. Very simple. You'll read the sentences, and wherever there is to plus first form of the verb, you'll take that option and you'll get 1 mark. But every story has a twist, and this one is also no exception. This story also has got a twist, because there is a particular kind of infinitive we call bare infinitive, where to is not there, to is not mentioned. So how to identify bare infinitives? Let's take a look at a couple of examples first, and then I'll explain how to identify it. I'll give you tips also. Let's take a look at a few examples. She made me write a letter. So the verb in this sentence is not write, because the subject is she and she didn't write. This sentence describes an action performed by she, and that action is made. She is the subject, made is the verb. It was basically, she made me to write a letter, but in such sentences, bare infinitive is used, to is usually not mentioned. So write is an infinitive. This sentence, she made me write a letter, contains an infinitive, to plus first form of the verb, but to has been omitted. So you need to be a little technical, you need to be a little careful in order to identify a sentence that contains an infinitive. Let's take a look at the second example. I saw him dance. Once again, I is the subject, saw is the verb, him object, and dance, it's a first form of the verb, and it's not the verb of the sentence. It's bare infinitive. I saw him to dance. She helped me complete the essay. She is the subject, helped is the verb, me is the object. Complete is not the verb in this sentence, because this complete has got nothing to do with the subject of the sentence. She is the subject and she didn't complete, she helped. So helped is the verb. Complete is bare infinitive. She helped me to complete the essay. So this is how bare infinitives are used, and this is how they can be a bit confusing for some students. So let's take a look at those tips. Let's take a look at bare infinitive in some depth and detail in order to be able to easily identify them whenever they are used in sentences. We need to remember three very simple points in order to be able to identify bare infinitives. And the first one is that the sentences where bare infinitives are used have got a particular structure, a particular sequence of its parts, and that sequence is SVOV. There is the subject of the sentence, there is a verb, there is the object of that verb, and immediately after that object, remember this point, immediately after the object of the verb, there is another first form of the verb. So this must be the sequence, the order of the parts of that sentence where bare infinitive is used. It's a must. The second point is that this first form of the verb that comes immediately after the object of the previous verb has got nothing to do with the subject of the sentence. The action indicated by this first form of the verb after the object has got something to do with the object, not with the subject of the sentence. There is a direct connection between this first form of the verb and the object of the previous verb. This action has to be performed by the object. That's also a very important point to remember. And the third point is that if you convert that sentence into passive voice, you will require a complete full normal infinitive, 2 plus first form of the verb, in order to make complete sense. If you change that sentence into passive, you will require a full infinitive. Bare infinitive will not make complete sense in passive voice. So let's see all these 3 points in action in practical demonstration through an example. She made me write a letter. She is the subject. Made is the verb. Me is the object of made. And there is a first form of the verb just after the object. That's an indication that this first form could be bare infinitive. Let's apply the second rule, the second point. Who is going to write? She? No. She made. She didn't write. She made me write a letter. So who was writing the letter? Who actually wrote the letter? It was me. So there is a direct connection between the object of the previous verb and this first form of the verb. This action has to be performed by the object of the previous verb. And the third point, I was made to write a letter by her, is the correct passive voice of this sentence. I can't say I was made write a letter by her. That will be wrong. This sentence, I was made to write a letter by her, conveys the same, exactly the same message or idea or thought as conveyed by the first sentence. This is the correct passive. So when you convert that sentence into passive voice, you'll need a full infinitive in order to make complete sense. If you remember these 3 points, you'll be able to correctly and easily identify sentences with bare infinitives. And in all probability, if you come across a question on infinitive in your annual exam, they'll give you bare infinitive in order to make it a little difficult and challenging for you. So learn these points very carefully. You can go back to the previous slide and you can apply all these points on those examples also, those examples of bare infinitive, and you'll find them relevant. The next thing in the list of verbal structures is gerund. A gerund is a present participle form of the verb. In simple words, it's first form plus ing. Some teachers call it ing form of the verb also. So it's present participle form of the verb functioning as a noun in a sentence. Remember, it's very, very important. Ing form of the verb could be the action the verb of the sentence also, but when that same ing form of the verb starts behaving like a noun in a sentence, when it starts playing the role of a noun in a sentence, we call it gerund. In order to understand this concept of gerund properly, you'll have to first develop a proper, clear understanding of the rules of nouns in sentences. And there is a lecture, there is a lesson on rules of nouns in sentences. Go through that lesson once again if you want to understand this concept clearly and properly. Let's have examples. Do you remember those rules of nouns in a sentence, by the way? Subject, object of verb, object of preposition, etc. These are the basic rules of nouns in sentences. And whenever we find an ing form of the verb, present participle form of the verb, in all these rules, we'll call it gerund. Let's take a look at examples. Smoking kills. Do you remember I told you that in every sentence, the subject either does something or it is something. Every sentence is about something or somebody, and that something or somebody is called the subject of the sentence, and the subject either does something or it is something in the sentence, and the words that indicate what the subject does or what it is, they are called verbs. And this sentence is about smoking. And what does smoking do? It kills. So smoking is the subject of this sentence because this sentence is about smoking and it's also performing an action. So even though it's ing form of the verb smoke, smoking is the present participle form of the verb smoke. But over here, I'm not saying that he is smoking or she is smoking. In such sentences, it would be a verb. But in this sentence, it's not the verb of the sentence. The verb is kills. Who kills? Smoking kills. So it's very, very clear. It's functioning like a noun. It's playing the role of a noun in this sentence. So we'll call it gerund. I love cooking. Just like if I say I love Alia. Remember that Alia Bhatt? I'll not say I love Alia. It's Ranbir who will say I love Alia. But somebody says I love him or her or you, etc. That him or her or you or Alia will be the object of love. Remember the method of identifying the object of verbs in sentences. We frame what question or whom question using the verb, and whatever is the answer to that what or whom question is the object of that verb. I love cooking. What do I love? Cooking. So cooking is the object of verb love, and object of verb is also one of the basic rules of noun. So cooking is also functioning as a noun, behaving like a noun. We'll call it gerund. Remember, I'm not saying that I am cooking or I was cooking. When I say I am cooking or she is cooking, then cooking will be verb. And just to give you a tip, whenever present participle form of the verb is used in a sentence as a verb, it must have some helping verbs before it. It's not used alone. And it's not used just after other verbs as a verb. It should be either he is cooking, he was cooking, he will be cooking, and he has been cooking and had been cooking and will have been cooking. These are the structures in which ing form of the verb is used as a verb. And if none of these combinations is there, then ing form of the verb is either gerund or participle. Participle we are going to learn on the next slide. Gerund will focus on for the time being, and we'll call it a gerund when it behaves like a noun, when it functions as a noun, when it plays the role of a noun. Let's take a look at the next example. She taught me swimming. Now this verb taught has got two objects. We learnt direct and indirect objects in our lesson on sentence, I think, in a previous lecture. So she is the subject, taught is the verb. Whom did she teach? Me. Me is the indirect object. What is the thing that she taught? That is swimming. So swimming is the thing on which the action of teaching is being performed over here. So we'll call it indirect object. And whether it's direct object or indirect object, all these roles are to be played by nouns or noun equivalents. Swimming is not basic noun, but over here it's noun equivalent. It's playing the role of a noun. So we'll call it gerund. Next example, I was thinking of sleeping in the lawn. So am I saying that he was sleeping or I was sleeping or she was sleeping? No. What was I doing? I was thinking. I was thinking. Subject, helping verb, main verb. Look, whenever present participle form of the verb is used as a verb, it has its helping verbs before it. And this is the case with this sentence. I, subject, was helping verb, thinking, main verb, of preposition. And remember, object of preposition, all prepositions, they must have their objects that come after them. So I was thinking of what? I was thinking of sleeping. So sleeping is the object of preposition of. Just like in the lawn, in is preposition and lawn is the object of preposition. In, of is preposition and sleeping is the object of preposition of. And this role, object of preposition, also belongs to noun. Nouns, pronouns, etc. or noun equivalents play this role of object of preposition. This is how present participle form of the verb can function as, behave like a noun in sentences, and whenever it does so, we call it gerund, or sometimes they also call it gerund noun. And now participle. A participle, also known as participle adjective. You can call it participle or participle adjective. Whenever present participle form of the verb or past participle form of the verb. There is an addition over here. It could be past participle form also. In simple words, you can call them either ing form of the verb or the third form of the verb. Whenever they play the role of an adjective, whenever they function as noun modifiers, we call them participles. Let's explain the concept through examples. Crawling insects can be poisonous. What's the subject of this sentence? What can be poisonous? Can is your helping verb, be is your, I'll call it linking verb. Whenever be or any of its forms is in the slot of the main verb, we call it linking verb. So the whole phrasal, verb phrase can be is functioning as linking verb over here. Poisonous is your complement or subjective complement. But what can be poisonous? Crawling or insects? Insects can be poisonous. So the subject of the sentence is insects. Crawling is a type of insects. It's telling us a quality of insects. Insects could be, they could have different qualities. They could be of different kinds or types. Small insects, big insects, black insects. So small and big and black, we all know that they are basic adjectives of quality. Similarly, we can classify them as crawling insects and flying insects. Some insects can fly, some can't. Some insects just crawl. So crawling insects and flying insects, in these combinations, crawling and flying are telling us a quality of the insects. And we remember that the words that tell us a quality of a noun are called adjectives. In these combinations or in these structures, they are behaving like adjectives. Crawling is not a verb here. There are so many indications over here to prove that crawling cannot be the verb. Number one, present participle form of the verb as a verb cannot be the first word of your sentence. Number two, whenever ing form of the verb is used as a verb, it must have its helping verbs with it. And number three, use some common sense. Nobody is saying that he is crawling or insects are crawling or the snake is crawling. Crawling will be a verb in such sentences. If I say that the snake was crawling, then crawling will be, of course, a verb. Over here, it's not. I'm not saying that this particular thing, this or that is crawling. I'm saying crawling insects. I'm using crawling as an adjective to tell a quality of the noun insects. So this is the difference between crawling as a verb and crawling as a participle or participle adjective. We have just learnt the concept of gerund, that ing form of the verb, when it functions as a noun, it's called gerund. But over here in this sentence, it's not functioning as a noun. Whenever ing form of the verb is the first word in your sentence, it can be a gerund or it can be a participle, depending upon the way it has been used. If it is the subject of the sentence, when it comes in the start of the sentence, if it's the subject, only then you'll call it gerund. Over here, It's not the subject of the sentence. What's the subject of? And you can easily analyze your sentence, understand the sentence if you focus on the verb and relationship of the words around that verb with the verb. वर्ब को देखिए सेंटेंस में और देखिए कि इर्द गिर्द के जो वर्ड्स हैं वो किस तरीके से रिलेट कर रहे हैं वर्ब के साथ. It will help you a lot in understanding the sentence very clearly. So the verb over here was can be poisonous. What can be poisonous? Insects can be poisonous. So insects is the subject of the sentence. We are talking about insects. This sentence is about insects. This is how we define subject of the sentence. This sentence is not about crawling, it's about insects. And crawling is simply adding something to the meaning of insects, a particular kind of insects. So it becomes very, very clear that crawling is functioning like an adjective in this sentence. It can't be the subject of the sentence because the sentence is about insects. So when it's not the subject and it's the first word in the sentence, it must be participle. Look at the word from all possible angles and it will become very, very clear. Let's take a look at the next example. Stolen goods were sold out. This is a passive voice sentence. Goods were sold out. What? Your helping verb, sold out, your main verb, and goods is the subject. In your active voice, it must have been the object of this verb, sold out, and in passive voice, the thing or the person on which the action has been performed becomes the subject of the sentence. What kind or what type of goods were sold out? Stolen goods. So stolen, third form of the verb cannot be gerund. So one option is clearly out of the list. So there could be only two options, either verb or participle or noun modifier. When it functions as a noun modifier, we call it participle. It cannot be the verb once again. Even third form of the verb does not come in the start of the sentence as a verb. It also must have some kind of helping verbs with it in order to function as a verb. So the very fact that a third form of the verb has been placed in the start of the sentence, makes it participle or participle adjective. It can't be the verb of the sentence. Third form of the verb does not come in the start of the sentence as a verb. And the other thing, applying your common sense, it makes it very, very clear that stolen goods is a kind of goods. Just like expensive goods or cheap goods, stolen is also a quality of goods. This is the way this third form of the verb has been used in this particular sentence. If I say that the thieves have stolen my motorcycle, then stolen will be a verb. I am giving you parallel examples. I am using the same words as verbs also in sentences in order to make the difference clear. So this is how stolen is being used as a noun modifier in this sentence. Take a look at the next example. Mr. Daniel, keeping in mind the previous disaster, was extremely careful. What is the basic sentence here? Now this type of participle could be a little confusing or problematic because it comes after the subject of the sentence, and yet keeping is not your verb. I'll prove it how or why it's not your verb. Let's first look at the sentence from that common sense angle. We are saying that Mr. Daniel was extremely careful. This part of the sentence inside these commas is adding a little more information, additional information about what? About Mr. Daniel. Who was keeping in mind the previous disaster? Mr. Daniel. But I'm not saying that Mr. Daniel was keeping in mind the previous disaster. If keeping were the verb, then there would have been some, there would be some helping verbs with it. I've already told you that ing form of the verb as a verb must have some helping verbs with it. ये तो एक बड़ी क्लियर इंडिकेशन है. कीपिंग इज नॉट द वर्ब इन दिस सेंटेंस. वर्ब होता तो हम कहते कि मिस्टर डेनियल इज कीपिंग और वॉज कीपिंग और विल बी कीपिंग, देन इट वुड बी वर्ब. सो इट्स अ यूजफुल टिप. ये जो हेल्पिंग वर्ब्स वाली टिप है बड़ी यूजफुल है कि जब वो वर्ब के तौर पे आएगा तो उसके साथ हेल्पिंग वर्ब्स जरूर होंगे. Over here there is no helping verb. So keeping has been used without a helping verb, and it's not a gerund because it's not playing the role of a noun. Noun के roles क्या है? What are the roles of noun? Subject, object of verb, object of preposition. Let's take a look at the sentence from this angle. What's the subject? Mr. Daniel is the subject. What's the verb? Was. Linking verb. Extremely careful, your subjective complement. Careful is adjective and extremely is adverb of degree or intensity. Inside the commas, keeping does not have a preposition before it. When there is no preposition before keeping, it cannot be the object of preposition. There is no verb before keeping, so it cannot be the object of verb. These are the roles that an ing form of the verb can play as a noun in a sentence. ये noun के जो roles हैं वो तो इसके ऊपर apply नहीं हो रहे हैं ना. It cannot be the subject because Mr. Daniel is the subject. So one option is crossed out. It cannot be the object of a preposition because there is no preposition before it. Another option crossed out. It cannot be the object of a verb. There is no verb before it. So all these things eliminate all the options of keeping functioning as a noun. Keeping noun के तो सारे रोल्स आपने चेक कर लिए हैं, वो प्ले नहीं कर रहा है. And it's not a verb. वो verb भी नहीं है because there is no helping verb before it. So क्या है? It could be modifying a noun by telling us more about that noun, and it's doing that. It's telling us more about Mr. Daniel. It's adding something to the meaning of this noun, Mr. Daniel, and this is the function of noun modifier. So this is how it's functioning as a noun modifier, and we'll call it participle. Why have I used it after Mr. Daniel? Whenever there are some other dependent structures, some other fragments, or could be phrases, or there could be an object or modifier, कुछ भी और जो इस ing form of the verb के ऊपर depend कर रहा है, जब वो साथ होता है, then we usually don't use it before the noun it modifies. It comes after that noun, or it is at least displaced. It's moved away from that noun. थोड़ा सा उससे पीछे कम से कम ये दूर हो जाता है. The other possible order of words in this sentence could have been keeping in mind the previous disaster. Mr. Daniel was extremely careful. That would also be very, very, meaningful and very good sentence. And in such position, these participles are very common. In the start of the sentence, ing form of the verb can function as a participle. ये शुरू में भी आ जाते हैं. आपको केयरफुल रहना होता है, ये देखना होता है कि वो सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट है या नहीं है. Christopher, exhausted after a day-long labor, decided to sleep in the factory. It's a very similar sentence. Christopher decided to sleep in the factory. Exhausted is the third form of the verb telling us about Christopher, but it's not been used as the verb of the sentence. Gerund का option तो यहाँ हो नहीं सकता क्योंकि third form of the verb gerund नहीं होती. And it's not a verb either because there are so many indications. There are no helping verbs with it. इसके साथ helping verbs नहीं है. अगर ये Christopher का verb होता तो इसके साथ helping verbs होते. And we don't use commas between a subject and its verb. We are actually using two commas around this central part of the sentence in order to mark it off. इसको थोड़ा separate mark करने के लिए दोनों तरफ हमने commas use किए हैं. Christopher decided to sleep in the factory. That is your basic sentence. ये basic sentence था. And even this sentence can be put the other way. Exhausted after a day-long labor, Christopher decided to sleep in the factory. ये भी possible है. इस तरह से भी कहा जा सकता है. And go back to the previous sentence. If I say, keeping in mind the previous disaster, Mr. Daniel was extremely careful. This sentence is also very perfect. बड़ा perfect sentence है. Keeping is the first word in the sentence and it's not gerund. Why is it not gerund? Because even though it's in the start of the sentence, one thing becomes very, very clear कि ये verb नहीं हो सकता because it comes in the start of the sentence. It can be either gerund or participle. Gerund तब होगा ing form of the verb sentence का पहला word जब होगा जब वो sentence का subject का role play करेगा. और इस sentence में अगर हम इसे उल्टा कर दें, keeping in mind the previous disaster, Mr. Daniel was extremely careful. Keeping is not the subject of the sentence. Even now, Mr. Daniel will be the subject of the sentence. So learn this structure very, very carefully and properly. इसको अच्छी तरह से सीख लें इस structure को कि ing form of the verb और third form of the verb. Sentence के शुरू में as participle, as noun modifier आ सकते हैं. ऐसी सूरत में वो they are in such situations they are telling us about the subject of the sentence. They are not themselves the subject of the sentence. When ing form of the verb is the first word in the sentence and also the subject of the same sentence, only then we'll call it gerund. when it is the first word of the sentence and it is telling us about the subject of the sentence that follows it, जो उसके बाद आ रहा है उस सब्जेक्ट के बारे में कुछ बता रहा है तो फिर वो पार्टिसिपल होता है. So that's all about infinitive, gerund and participle. And now it's your turn. Activity time. There are just 5 MCQs. Read them very carefully and try to assess the underlined words from all possible angles. Apply every rule you have learned so far in order to make a correct guess. Then, after attempting the activity, the answer key is following, and I'm going to discuss each and every option in the answer key. For the time being, just pause this movie over here, pause the movie clip, and attempt it at your own. Don't spoil the activity. After you have chosen all the options, then you can match your answers, and listening to the discussion is also equally important. I'm going to discuss each and every option, each and every question in the answer key part. So let's move on to the answer key. And here's your answer key. I hope all your answers are correct. Remember that in grammar MCQs, knowing the right option is not enough. You should also know why the wrong options are wrong. So we are going to discuss each and every option in these questions. Let's begin with the first one. She came out with a glowing face to receive me. Glowing has been underlined. Let's take a closer look at the sentence. She is the subject. What did she do? She came out. So that's the verb. With a glowing face. You can call came a verb and out adverb of place. All right. But come is an intransitive verb and it does not have an object in this sentence. With is preposition, and after the preposition we must try to look for the object of that preposition. So what is the object of preposition with? Is it glowing or is it face? If I ask you, with what did she come out to receive me? And the answer will be, of course, with a glowing face. So, but if I ask you to limit your answer to one word, with what did she come out to receive me? The answer will be with face. Glowing is not the object of with. Glowing is behaving like an adjective. It's telling us a quality of face, which is a noun. So glowing is a noun modifier. All those who were thinking that glowing is the object of preposition with are wrong, because immediately after that word glowing is another word, face, that's a noun. And there is a direct relationship between the preposition with and that noun, face. Glowing has been used with that noun as a noun modifier. So it's doing the work of an adjective and we'll call it participle. Well, moving on to the next sentence. I could not trust his driving. I is the subject, could helping verb, trust main verb. So I could not trust what? What could I not trust? We are making a what question with the verb trust. What is the answer to this question? What could I not trust? Driving. Driving answers the what question. Therefore, it's playing the role of a noun. It's gerund. It can't be a participle because there is no noun around it to modify. Whenever there is a participle nearby, there should be a noun that it should describe or modify. And infinitive it can't be, because infinitive is 2 plus first form of the verb, and the main verb even it can't be, because when ing form of the verb is the verb of the sentence, it must have some helping verbs with it. So it could be I am driving, I was driving. In such sentences, driving is a verb. In this sentence, it's not. So main verb clearly impossible. Infinitive clearly impossible. Participle it isn't, because there is no noun around it. And gerund it is, because it's functioning as the object of a main verb, and that verb is trust. I could not trust what? Driving. So that makes it gerund. Hiding behind the curtains, she observed every movement of Fidi. What is the subject of this sentence? What is this sentence about? Who is this sentence about? She. She observed movement. These are the three basic parts of this sentence: subject, verb, and object. She is the subject, observed is the verb, movement is the object of observed, every is modifying movement, adjective of number, of preposition, feed the object of preposition. What's hiding doing here? One thing is clear, hiding cannot be the verb because it is the first word of the sentence and it's an ing form of the verb, and present participle form of the verb cannot be the verb of the sentence when it is the first word in that sentence. It can be either participle or gerund. For gerund, it has to be the subject of the same sentence, which it is not, because the subject is she. And hiding behind the curtains, this part of the sentence is telling us about she. And this is the job of adjectives or noun modifiers, that they tell us about nouns. So this is what makes it participle. Hiding has been underlined and used in the next sentence also. Let's take a look at it. Hiding behind the bushes saved us from the tiger. Now, what's happening in this sentence? What was done? Who did what? Something saved us. What is the verb in this sentence? Saved. Whom did something save? Us. So we have already identified verb and the object of that verb. Saved is the action that's taking place in this sentence, and us is the object of that action verb, because it's something on which that action is being performed. So who is performing the action of saving? What saved us from the tiger? That is the question. Is it bushes? Is the speaker or the writer trying to say that bushes saved us from the tiger? Then what is the point of saying hiding behind the bushes saved us from the tiger? Agar bushes ne save, if bushes have saved us from the tiger, then there is no point of saying or mentioning hiding over here. So what did exactly perform this action of saving? Is it hiding or the bushes? Choose one. Look at the sentence closely, carefully, understand the sentence and tell me what saved us. The act of hiding or the bushes? Your mind is telling you the right thing. It is the action of riding that saved us. Bushes themselves couldn't save us from the tiger. Bushes are not, they can't even move. How could they save us from the tiger? It was the act of hiding that saved us from the tiger. So hiding is performing the action of saving. Hiding is the subject of this sentence. You see, hiding behind the bushes saved us from the tiger. This action of saving was not performed by bushes. Bushes didn't save us. It was the act of hiding that saved us. So hiding is the subject of this sentence, and as such we'll call it gerund. You will have to be very, very careful when you're analyzing such sentences. Well, if I say that reading books makes you or prepares you to face the world. Reading books prepares. I'm not, if books is the subject of my sentence, then I shouldn't say prepares, I should say prepare. I'm saying reading books prepares you to face the world. That's a proposition. You may disagree with it, but for the time being, focus on the sentence. What's the subject in this sentence? It's reading, not books, because books is plural, and books will not take prepares. It will take prepare with it. So reading books prepares you to save the world, to face the world. So reading is the subject. That's why it's treated as a singular noun. Whenever there's a gerund noun, it's treated as a singular noun. So that's why it's taking the singular form of the verb in present simple tense. Well, somebody could say that, well, selling cars is my profession. Look at this sentence. Selling cars is my profession. Can I say cars is? That will be wrong. But this sentence is correct. Selling cars is my profession. Because in this sentence, cars is not the subject. Selling is the subject. This sentence is very similar. Hiding behind the bushes saved us from the tiger. It wasn't the bushes that saved us. It was hiding. Just like selling cars is his profession. If this sentence sounds correct, then cars cannot be the subject of this sentence. And cars themselves are not a profession. A profession is an activity. So selling them is the profession. Selling them is the profession. Selling cars is his profession. कारें बेचना उसका पेशा है. So कारें तो पेशा नहीं हो सकती ना किसी का. उनको बेचने का अमल है जो आपका पेशा है. So this sentence is SVC. Selling cars is his profession. Selling subject is linking verb and his profession subjective complement. मैंने ये एक दो आपको एग्जांपल्स दी हैं ये पॉइंट क्लियर करने के लिए कि क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 में हाइडिंग जेरेंट कैसे है. वो इसलिए है कि वो सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट है, वो पार्टिसिपल नहीं है, वो किसी चीज़ को मॉडिफाई नहीं कर रहा, किसी चीज़ के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दे रहा, बल्कि वो खुद सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट है. तो स्टार्ट में आने वाले जेरेंट और पार्टिसिपल को ज़रा केयरफुली देखना है आपने. विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग सेंटेंसेस कंटेन्स एन इन्फिनेटिव. Well, I'm going to the bazaar. To is there, but there is no first form of the verb, and that's our definition of infinitive. So impossible. Give these books to your brother. To is once again there, but it has been used as a preposition. Brother is the object of this preposition. So this option is also incorrect because there is no to plus first form of the verb. They elected me the chairman. Well, the subject, elected verb, me object, the chairman. Is it bare infinitive? No, it can't be because there should be a first form of the verb after the object of the previous verb. That first form of the verb will be bare infinitive. That's one thing. The chairman is a noun. The is article and chairman is noun. So the very idea is actually baseless. The other thing is the chairman over here. Just we have talked about this thing in our earlier lessons. The chairman is objective complement. This is something that tells us about the object, but it's not infinitive. Well, I helped him achieve his goal. I subject, help verb, him object, achieve another verb. First form of the verb coming after the object of the previous verb. So achieve is bare infinitive. I helped him to achieve his goal. Remember that even bare infinitives, when they come after the object of a previous verb, are also functioning as objective complements. Grammatical role or function of achieve and the chairman is the same, but the chairman is not basically to plus first form of the verb. It's not a verb, it's a noun. So both of them are objective complements, but achieve is infinitive and the chairman is a noun phrase, or some you can call it a noun. Chairman is noun. So for an infinitive to be an infinitive, there should be a verb at least. Verb तो होना चाहिए ना, first form of the verb. The chairman में तो कोई first form of the verb है ही नहीं. Position the chairman की और achieve की same है, sequence same है और function भी same है. To achieve भी him को modify कर रहा है और the chairman भी me को modify कर रहा है. उसके बारे में बता रहा है, modify तो आप क्या कहेंगे, लेकिन उसको describe कर रहा है. उसके बगैर उसके meaning complete नहीं होते, इसलिए मॉडिफाई नहीं कर रहे हैं, सॉरी, उसके मीनिंग कंप्लीट नहीं होते उसके बगैर. तो ग्रामेटिकल रोल भी दोनों का सेम है, दोनों ही ऑब्जेक्टिव कॉम्प्लीमेंट हैं, लेकिन अचीव बेयर इन्फिनेटिव है और द चेयरमैन नहीं है. वजह ये है कि ये टू अचीव था, इसका टू मिसिंग है और द चेयरमैन में तो कहीं पे कोई वर्ब ही नहीं है ना. सो दैट्स ऑल अबाउट verbal structures, infinitive, gerund, participle. We have discussed them all, we have had examples and we have had an activity, and now we have discussed each and every question of that activity, and I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson and I hope it's useful for you. See you later. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.